There is a litigation attorney that is offering $5,000 to any woman that can find her a husband. She is offering a $5,000 bonus. Let's pull up the video, King.
So I made this bet with my boss like a couple years ago, and I've now added my best friend, her husband, and a couple other friends. But I feel like I'm just going to open it up to the general public because I'm good for it. So the bet/offer is if you introduce me to my husband and I marry him, I will give you $5,000. I don't have to stay married to him for long. I can get divorced in 20 years. It doesn't matter. But if you introduce me to a man that I walk down the aisle and get married to, I will give you $5,000. My DMs are open.
Do you notice how she says, I don't have to be married to him for long? This is the mindset. Women want the wedding more than they want the marriage. She doesn't, do you hear that? She doesn't even care about being married to this man for long. All she wants is a husband. Now let's go through her requirements. I bet they're very deep and like, I bet, they're very reasonable. Okay. At 35, being a 35-year-old litigation attorney, knowing that what you bring to a marriage at 35 years old is, in all honesty, nothing. Even if you're a hottie, which she seems like an all right looking chick, even if you're a big hottie at 35, most men get married because they want children. Would you ever get married if no kids were involved? No. The guys are shaking their head. So women know this, right? The men look at you and they got to think, could this woman raise some kids, right? And if you're not bringing children to the table, most men don't really see the point of marriage. So at 35, geriatric pregnancy starts that year. So her odds of even having kids, like first he has to get to know her. So it'll be like till 37, right? Most men want to how long you want to get to know a girl before marrying her? Like 1 to 2 years? Yeah, roughly. Okay. So now it's 37. She's pushing 40. And you're really a depreciating asset at that point. So, at this point, you would think she would be desperate. Now, I really want to ask ladies, at what age should we be desperate? Why is desperation, why is it always labeled as a bad thing? Sometimes desperate times, the men know this, right? Desperate times, if they're really broke, if they just aren't looking the best, they might date a whale for a bit. You know what I mean? They might marry an ugly chick. Men understand that really, in all honesty, when you think about it, all men are in desperate times. When you think about it, all men have really adapted to the times, okay? Because 100 years ago, what would the man would come to the table and he said, here's your protection, here's your provisioning. Now, 100 years later, men still by and large out-earn women. Men still by and large run society, and they run all of the mechanisms that protect women in society. So women are still getting the protection and provisioning. And before, the men would get 5 kids out of the deal in exchange. They would get a virgin or at least a chick that hadn't slept with 85% of women said they were virgins on their wedding night. Let's just say some were lying. Still 2 out of 3, even if it was 50%, that's better than today, all right? And so they would know, all right, my girl hasn't been with that many guys. And they would get femininity, a girl that wanted to stay home, raise the kids. Now, what do men get? A girl that has a high body count. The average woman's 170 pounds, 5'4". Men understood, you know what, this is what the market's giving us. We're adapting to the times. Now, women at 35 years old still won't adapt to the market. She can't find the 5'11" dude that wants her, that she finds attractive. So it might be time to be desperate. Why is desperation always a bad thing? You know what I mean? Now, she also said she's been on the dating apps for 5 years. Now, the issue you're going to have on dating apps is that women only swipe right on dating apps 5% of the time. So if you're going on a date on a dating app as a woman, you're probably at a disadvantage. Not because you're at a disadvantage throughout all of dating apps, but the guy you're on a date with probably has a ton of options and isn't going to treat you very special. All right? I'm just being honest, because the guys that we tend to swipe on have all the women are swiping on. So, I don't know if dating apps are the best, way, but whatever. So, she said, so I feel like paying $5,000 for a husband who's vouched for, meets my needs, and is ready for a real relationship is totally worth it. Do you notice how she didn't say anything she would bring? She said he has to meet my needs. But what about you meeting his needs? But this is the thing. Women, we'll get to, society has told us, chase the career, be successful, whatever. And she did that. And she makes it to 35 years old, never having once thought about what men want. And this is why the red pill is so important, because we go through our whole lives never having even heard what men want. She also said, can't be his second wife. Lady, like, you're ruling out, you're 35 years old, and you're going to rule out men because they've been married before? And then the second thing is that 5'11" or taller. Nowhere, did you hear anything about character? Did you hear anything about values? In fact, she doesn't care about political beliefs, religious beliefs, or ethnicity. So, nothing about culture, nothing about values. 5'11" can never have been married before, and he has to meet my needs. And we wonder why marriage sucks today, when in the last 100 years, we have had more mate selection than ever. Women have had more freedom in the last 100 years to choose husbands and partners. And you know what? We suck at it. We are absolutely terrible. We don't know what we want. We just pick for looks. And the funny thing is, she says, a 35-year-old woman says, Hollywood heartthrobs. These are examples of the men she would want. Gossip Girl star Chuck Bass, Oscar-winning Matthew McConaughey. So you tell me, is this reasonable? Do you think this is a reasonable list? I appreciate that she's bringing money to the table, but it's funny how women, it's like our solution is to pay people to do work for us instead of putting in the work to becoming better wives and mothers, instead of learning skills that would give us the outcome we want. It's funny because they'll call men incels in the red pill, right? They'll say all these red pill men are just incels, they can't get women. A lot of men will agree and say, you know what, I can't get women, I'm broken, I'm fat, and they'll take a path towards improvement. But where are all the real women's improvement classes? Genuinely, I don't see them. I see women going to some feminist therapist that makes us worse, okay? I see us going to some feminist therapist that just makes us worse people, going to the gym a bit, posting some selfies on Instagram, learning how to do your makeup a little better, and then slapping a selfie on Instagram saying I've healed. Oh, and taking a trip to Aruba. Yes, I forgot about the trip to Aruba, where they just learn to be the best version of ourselves, a wife, a mother. And yeah, that's what I see. But the men, I at least see improving. There's many testimonials from guys like Fresh and Fit and all these other self-improvement guys where they get in better shape, they make more money. Have you seen a self-improvement like women losing weight and cookbooks and like going back to more traditional values? And the funny thing is, men are much more traditional than women nowadays. Yet the conservatives and the trad cons will say, oh, well, the men just need to be better. They need to be better. When it's like, all right, men pay 80% of the taxes. Men run the entire infrastructure of society, which 1 out of 2 men is in an industry that runs the infrastructure. So protection and provisioning, from a societal standpoint, men are doing more. The women are the ones that aren't holding up our end of the bargain. We're having 1.4 children or 1.2 roughly. We're not even having an average of 2 kids. It's like, all right, so the men pay all the taxes. They run the entire infrastructure of society. They have made systems that protect us, like the police, the military, and the judicial system that'll also protect us. And all they want in return is some kids. And we can't even do that, is the crazy thing. And then they want to get mad at me for pointing things out and saying, you know what, tradcons, I don't think women and men are offering equal value to society. I don't think women are helping run society. I think nowadays we have less value. And the funny thing is, the funny thing is, these ladies will come in and say, I am tradcon. But if you went to college, you can't be traditional, because college is a feminist institution for women. Yes, if you look at the birth rate and the rate of women having children, it's inverse. They're trying to program us to not have kids. This is the crazy thing. Now, my point is this. Why do we have a society that is always focused on the men, and the men need to be better, but never the women? And if anyone says anything about the women, they get attacked mercilessly. Maybe I'm crazy, though. I don't know. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just grifting, making some things up. I'm just reiterating what I see.